The galaxy had already made up its mind about humanity long before the first human ship ever arrived at the Galactic Council. Among thousands of civilizations spread across countless star systems, humans looked unimpressive. Their species was young, their technology seemed primitive compared to ancient galactic powers, and their history was filled with internal wars and political conflicts. To most alien observers, humanity looked exactly like the kind of species that never survived long once it stepped onto the larger stage of the universe. They were emotional, short-lived, fragile creatures from a small blue planet orbiting an ordinary yellow star. So when Earth finally sent a representative to the Galactic Council requesting recognition, many species didn't react with curiosity. They reacted with laughter. The council chamber floated in orbit above Orion Prime, a shining world that served as the political heart of the galaxy. Inside the enormous circular hall were representatives from hundreds of alien civilizations. Some were towering crystalline beings that shimmered like living diamonds. Others resembled enormous insectoid warriors covered in armored shells. A few existed only as glowing clouds of gas contained inside floating energy fields. It was a place where ancient empires decided the fate of entire star systems. And standing alone at the center of that hall was a single human. Ambassador Daniel Hayes, a former United States Navy officer who had spent most of his life commanding warships before becoming Earth's first diplomatic voice among the stars. When Hayes requested a formal protection agreement for humanity, while Earth continued developing its interstellar capabilities, murmurs spread across the chamber. Within seconds, those murmurs turned into open laughter. The idea that a species would enter the galactic stage already asking for protection was almost embarrassing. To most of the council members, it sounded like a child asking adults to solve its problems. The loudest reaction came from the representative of the Galactic Dominion. The Dominion was one of the most powerful military empires in the known galaxy. Their fleets had conquered 73 star systems and crushed dozens of rebellions without hesitation. Their representative, Commander Valak, stood nearly 3 meters tall, his metallic armor plates reflecting the light of the chamber. His glowing amber eyes studied the human ambassador with quiet amusement. Valak stepped forward and addressed the chamber in a deep voice that echoed through the hall. He repeated the human request slowly, almost mockingly, humanity asking the galaxy for protection before it had even proven its strength. More laughter followed. Then Valak focused his glowing eyes directly on Ambassador Hayes and asked a simple question that silenced the room for a moment. Why should the galaxy protect a species that could not even protect itself? Hayes did not answer immediately. Instead, he looked around the chamber at the faces of dozens of alien races. Some were curious, but most were amused. A few looked almost sympathetic, as if they were watching a primitive species embarrass itself. Finally, the human ambassador smiled. It wasn't the nervous smile of someone intimidated by the situation. It was calm, controlled, almost confident. That expression alone made Commander Valak pause. Hayes finally spoke. He clarified that humanity was not truly asking for protection. What they were asking for was time. The chamber exploded again with laughter. Time for what? Every empire in the room already understood the limits of Earth's technology. Human ships were few in number and poorly armed by galactic standards. Their military had no chance against any serious interstellar power. Valak tilted his head slightly and asked why the galaxy would ever give humanity time. Hayes looked directly at him and quietly replied that if the Dominion attacked Earth immediately, they would lose. The statement hung in the air like a spark waiting to ignite something dangerous. Then the chamber erupted again, louder than before. The idea that 7 human starships could defeat the massive fleets of the Dominion was absurd. Valak reminded the human ambassador of the obvious facts. The Dominion commanded fleets numbering in the hundreds of warships, each capable of destroying entire continents. Humanity possessed only a handful of experimental vessels that were barely capable of interstellar combat. From every measurable perspective, the Dominion could wipe out Earth within a single day. Instead of arguing, Hayes calmly reached into his coat and placed a small data device on the council podium. Several guards immediately raised weapons, but the ambassador made no aggressive movements. He simply said that the Dominion believed it understood human capabilities. The galaxy had already made its judgment about humanity long before the first human diplomat ever stepped inside the Galactic Council chamber. Compared to the ancient civilizations that had ruled the stars for thousands of years, humans looked young, chaotic, and unimpressive. Their technology appeared primitive, their political systems were divided, and their short lifespans made them seem impulsive and fragile. Many alien observers had studied Earth for decades and reached the same conclusion. Humanity would either destroy itself through internal conflict or be quickly dominated by a stronger interstellar power once it finally revealed itself to the wider galaxy. Because of that reputation, when Earth's first ambassador arrived at the Galactic Council and requested diplomatic recognition along with a temporary protection agreement, most of the council members did not react with curiosity or caution. They reacted with laughter. The council chamber itself was one of the most impressive structures in known space, a vast floating arena orbiting the luminous world of Orion Prime. Representatives from hundreds of alien civilizations gathered there to debate trade routes, territorial disputes, and the fate of entire star systems. Some council members were towering crystalline beings that refracted light in brilliant colors, while others resembled enormous armored insects with glowing compound eyes. A few did not even possess solid bodies at all, and existed instead as shifting clouds of luminous energy contained inside advanced life support fields. It was a place where ancient empires negotiated power, and standing alone in the center of that hall was a single human diplomat named Daniel Hayes, a former United States Navy officer who had spent most of his life commanding warships before becoming Earth's voice among the stars. When Hayes presented humanity's request for temporary protection status while Earth continued developing its interstellar capabilities, murmurs quickly spread across the chamber. Those murmurs turned into open amusement within seconds. To most of the council members, the idea of a species entering galactic politics already asking for protection sounded almost embarrassing. Strong civilizations did not ask others to shield them. They demonstrated their strength and earned their place through power. The loudest reaction came from the representative of the Galactic Dominion, one of the most feared military empires in the galaxy. Their fleets had conquered dozens of star systems, and their warships were known for overwhelming any resistance with ruthless efficiency. Their representative, Commander Valak, stood nearly 3 meters tall, his body protected by metallic armor plates that reflected the chamber's brilliant lights. His glowing amber eyes studied the human ambassador with something between curiosity and amusement. Valak stepped forward and repeated the human request slowly, his voice echoing across the massive hall. Humanity, he said, was asking the galaxy for protection before it had even proven its strength. The chamber filled with laughter again. Then Valak turned his glowing eyes directly toward Hayes and asked a simple question that caused the room to quiet for a moment. Why, he asked, should the galaxy protect a species that could not even protect itself? Hayes did not answer immediately. Instead, he slowly looked around the chamber at the faces of the alien representatives surrounding him. Some looked amused, others curious, and a few almost sympathetic, as if they were watching a child attempt to speak among powerful adults. After a long moment, the human ambassador smiled. It was not a nervous smile or the forced politeness of a diplomat under pressure. It was calm, confident, almost knowing. That expression alone made Commander Valak pause slightly. When Hayes finally spoke, he clarified something that confused many council members even more. Humanity was not truly asking the galaxy for protection, he explained. What they were asking for was time. The statement triggered another wave of laughter across the chamber. Time for what? Everyone in the room already understood the limits of Earth's technology. Human ships were few in number and poorly armed compared to most interstellar militaries. Their defenses were weak, their fleets small, and their industrial capacity insignificant by galactic standards. To the ancient empires present in the council, humanity looked less like a rising civilization and more like an exposed colony waiting to be conquered. Valak tilted his head slightly and asked why the galaxy would ever give humanity the time it requested. Hayes met the Dominion commander's glowing eyes and calmly replied that if the Dominion attacked Earth immediately, they would lose. For a brief moment, the council chamber became silent. Then the laughter returned louder than before. The idea that humanity's handful of experimental starships could defeat the massive Dominion fleets was absurd. Valak reminded the human ambassador of the obvious facts. The Dominion commanded fleets of hundreds of heavily armed warships, each capable of destroying entire continents. Humanity possessed only 7 known interstellar vessels, none designed for large-scale combat. From every measurable perspective, the Dominion could wipe out Earth in a matter of hours if they wished. Instead of arguing, Hayes calmly removed a small data device from his coat and placed it on the council podium. Several security guards raised their weapons instantly, but Hayes made no aggressive movement. He simply said that the Dominion believed it understood human capabilities, but there was something they did not know. Humanity had been building something quietly for a very long time, something the galaxy had completely overlooked. The Council dismissed his warning as empty arrogance. 3 weeks later, the Dominion invasion fleet entered the Sol system. The fleet consisted of 100 warships, each a symbol of Dominion military supremacy. Their arrival was anything but subtle. Massive engines burned like artificial stars as the fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the edge of the solar system. From there, they began their slow and confident advance toward Earth. As the warships approached the inner planets, a message was transmitted across every communication network on the human homeworld. Humanity was ordered to surrender immediately and submit to Dominion authority. Across Earth, billions of people watched the broadcast in shock and fear. Governments activated every defensive system they possessed. Missile silos opened, defense satellites repositioned themselves in orbit, and fighter aircraft launched from bases around the world. Yet deep down, many leaders understood the truth. None of those weapons were designed to fight a fleet capable of interstellar conquest. Inside the Dominion flagship, Commander Valak stood on the bridge observing the blue planet slowly rotating beneath them. Earth looked peaceful from orbit. Vast oceans reflected sunlight while swirling white clouds drifted over green continents. Cities glowed faintly on the night side of the world like scattered constellations. It was a beautiful planet, one that would soon belong to the Dominion. Valak turned to his tactical officer and calmly ordered the fleet to begin establishing orbital dominance. The officer acknowledged the command, but before the operation could begin, the ship's sensors suddenly triggered a system-wide alert. Alarms echoed across the bridge as sensor officers stared in confusion at rapidly updating data streams. Unknown energy signatures were appearing across the solar system, and their numbers were increasing faster than the computers could categorize them. Valak demanded an immediate report. The sensor officer hesitated before answering, clearly struggling to understand what the instruments were showing. Thousands of energy signatures had suddenly appeared far beyond the orbit of Mars, emerging from the darkness near the asteroid belt. At first, the readings seemed impossible, as if the sensors were malfunctioning. But the data kept repeating itself. The main tactical display shifted to a wider view of the solar system, and the Dominion bridge crew saw the shapes appearing across the darkness. Massive warships were drifting out of hidden positions among distant asteroid clusters and shadowed regions of space. At first, there were dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. They were human ships, but these vessels looked nothing like the 7 primitive craft recorded in the Galactic Council databases. These ships were enormous, sleek, and clearly designed for war. Some were larger than the Dominion flagship itself. Their hulls were dark and angular, built with materials that absorbed most sensor scans. It became immediately obvious that they had been hiding there for years, perhaps even decades, waiting silently in deep space. Valak watched the tactical display as the number of ships continued to climb. The human fleet had been there the entire time, hidden beyond the asteroid belt, watching every movement in the solar system. A new transmission suddenly appeared across every Dominion communications screen. Ambassador Daniel Hayes stood calmly before the camera once again, the flag of Ea writ visible behind him. His expression was the same confident smile he had worn inside the Galactic Council chamber weeks earlier. He greeted Commander Valak politely and reminded him of their earlier conversation. The Dominion commander had asked how humanity could possibly defeat a superior empire. Hayes explained that the answer was now visible all around them. Humanity had spent the last 2 centuries preparing for this moment. The fleet surrounding the Dominion ships had a name. It was called the Silent Fleet. Across the darkness of the solar system, thousands of hidden human warships activated their engines simultaneously. Brilliant streams of light erupted across space as reactors powered up and weapon systems began charging. For the first time since the invasion began, Commander Valek realized something that had never occurred to him before. Humanity had never asked the galaxy for protection. Humanity had only asked for time. Time to finish building the largest and most powerful fleet the galaxy had ever seen. And now, as the Silent Fleet moved into formation around the invading Dominion armada, the trap was closing.